Welcome back, everyone. We are on Acolytes, and in the top right, as the blue Zerg, it's Impact.
With his opponent at the bottom left, the green Terran player, KeeN. And of course, we should mention, this is a qualifying match.
Yes. It is the winner's qualifying match, so whoever loses has the loser's brackets to go through for the second chance, and since they already are so far gone, then I would hope that they just stuck around to take the chance. Apparently, Rainer and Nice are actually playing, which is nice to hear.
Hey.
I'm not sure.
I do want to mention something, though, that was brought up in chat, and granted, this may have been a bit of a troll, but it's still a question or statement worth answering. Ting, last month they used 34 gigabytes of data. Do they have a plan for that? And the answer really is yes and no. Yes, if you're willing to pay that much money, Ting is a pay for what you use system. If you're going to use 34 gigs of data and you want to pay for it, technically, there's a plan for that. But Ting doesn't do plans because it is pay what you use. Secondly, Ting is really honest about this. If you're using 34 gigs of data on their service, they will probably reach out to you and tell you, look, not really using our service for what it's for. You're probably better off going with somebody else. They're really honest with business, and it's a big part of why we're very happy to be working with them.
Yeah.
So, 100% transparency, guys. Ting is going to save you a ton of money if you're like a college kid who's on Wi-Fi all the time and can't really afford to do stuff. Ting would be perfect for you. But if you're like constantly using data, you're watching videos on the bus every day, probably not the service you want to be going with.
Yeah, and they are definitely honest about that. So, trolling aside, like, yeah, maybe you should use a different company, but to be like extra special clear, I suppose. I think they cover this in some of the videos. Technically, there are plans, but then you just pay extra once you've exceeded that plan. So, for instance, you can have like actually, I don't remember the exact details, but I don't call or text at all. So I'm on the very basic plan for both of those things, which doesn't cost me very much at all. And if I actually used 1,000 texts, I think that it is. If I was texting a lot, then they would like, charge me however much extra, but it's really not bad. And of course, the idea is still that you're not charged for everything combined at a base flat fee like everyone else that does it. So it works especially well for me, because you couldn't tell by that speech, I actually use Ting, being in the US and being around Wi-Fi all the time. And I can definitely say that it's a good service. Definitely fits me.
Also, I don't know if this will work replaying it because you're the one streaming, so this may or may not happen, but we did have a donation.
Did we?
Yeah, Poppy. We can assume it's Poppy Writer, but Poppy, $3.94 to say hashtag adblock not working. Regardless of who you are, Poppy, I thank you kindly. That is a very wonderful little, I guess, compensation, however you want to phrase it. I appreciate the $4. We appreciate the $4.
I guess I'm going to play during the actual intro, which is very long, and yeah, definitely wouldn't have noticed it. But guys, you need to change over to Discord. Let me know if Rifkin's voice levels need to be changed as well. Hopefully not.
Yeah, the muffling you guys heard in that previous game, it's just a consequence of Skype. That's why I use Zombie Grub's audio too on Discord. And maybe it'll be a problem, maybe it won't. Hopefully it's fixed. Again, we just want to put on the best show for you guys we can, so let us know.
Yeah. So it is Acolytes, and we do have KeeN playing. He has been doing more mech lately. Started off not so hot, been getting better, and using it more and more, and this is what he's doing again here. The double armories are somewhere around here. They're on the natural base. Impact specifically looking for details. Is it bio? Is it mech? Is it 3cc? And unfortunately, he's missing a lot of them. He knows it's not 3cc, at least not, as fast as possible, I suppose, but actually missed the CC at the third, so it's a little bit oddly timed.
Well, plenty of drones coming down for impact on the other side of the field, but those could get roasted if out of position. Did that look really weird? Those Hellions going over the lip there?
I was looking at the production tab.
Oh, okay. It just looks like a really weird graphic glitch on my end. Anyways, transform them into Hellbats, double armories, factories, you guys name it. It's mech, baby. KeeN playing mech was something a month ago I was really unsure of and in fact would scoff at, but now he's kind of refined it a bit. He's a bit better at getting aggressive, not sitting back and playing passive. So while this attack on the left happens, we got the drop going right into the natural base. However, while this goes on, he also gets attacked at his third.
Oh, he loses the medevac.
Chaos back at home.
Yeah, loses the medevac, doesn't even deposit the second Widow Mine. First Widow Mine went off into a gas extractor. Everything kind of going poorly for KeeN here, who is pushed off on all sides and takes damage in addition to not doing any of his own. Well, we do have a lot of roaches on the way. Unfortunately, Acolytes, very difficult map to bust a mech player on, if he has figured out that it's mech by now. Again, nothing quite, you know, obvious as a double armor being scouted or multiple factories.
Well, Hellbats may have been an indication, but I guess, yeah, it's not a confirmation.
Yeah, I think he knows, just like kind of a lot of things combined together. And KeeN might just be playing a lot of mech lately. He goes for a very quick force CC, which I would say is perfectly reasonable on a map like Acolytes. And Impact would be, well off if he could actually beat him here and now before he got too far gone into mech. I don't think it's possible. He's going for a lot of lings as well. I mean, like, he's really going for a bust here. Not just 15 roaches that could maybe attack or maybe retreat, but a lot with lings, timing out with the upgrades. He's got 12 Ravagers on top, and he's starting to drone and get more tech now. This was an attempt to break KeeN before he was too far gone. He's going to get a handful of spotty boosts.
They take the hits from the tanks so well because they're not armored. As we see, most of the army is very low, but not quite dead.
Yeah. And that, I mean, just poking and prodding and seeing what you can do is perfectly fine. It was a blip in the economic radar that Impact, I guess, could be looking at. Fourth base is only going to finish up now, but it is going to be with 80 drones. And a commanding little army here on the outside of KeeN's third, making him very hesitant to ever take his fourth. Tanks actually have to go down. A clever little point defense drone tried to help, but Impact is pushing through. I don't think there's enough reinforcements, however, to actually make this a winning move. It cut down KeeN's army quite a bit.
Yeah, but this on top of that, like 10 SCVs go down. It's still not over just yet. Misrally drone. A little bit awkward right now, but... Ravages are so good. You get 3 corrosive battles on a tank. They can't run away. It's going to die. And the expensive trade of these losses, I mean, just the resources lost, sure, it's a little bit closer than you might think with an attack like that being so one-sided, but really, this removed the slow tech units out of KeeN. It takes a long time to produce 4 or 5 more tanks, especially when he's making one at a time.
Exactly. It's definitely more of the pacing of the game that is cut there, more so for the mech player, who isn't quite on, you know, the high-end production, although he's about to be there. This is actually quite impressive. He's not just, why can't I count right now? 7 factories. Oh, my lord. 7 factories taking advantage of the fact that he got such an early 4th base. But if he can't actually get the 4th base down on location, it might be a bit more lopsided than he was hoping for.
I guess make a note, guys. Zombie can't count to 7, so if you ever find yourself fighting her in a duel, pull out 7 guns, and she won't know what's going on anymore. Actually, I love this world I live in where this somehow makes sense. You're like, 6 guns I can handle, 7? What's going on? I don't fucking know anymore.
Shush. I looked at that, like the amount of factories that I was like 4 plus 2. Wait a second, like, why can't I do this? So I just went with the easy one and went with the production tab. Hellions did get dropped and ran by, and just everything that KeeN could try and do to come back after that blow to his army. And 14 drones isn't too bad. It is not exactly going to make up for everything that he just took there. Again, pacing being very important here, as the Vipers are already on the way, and KeeN is still at a very, like, flimsy-looking army, especially when you account for Vipers and their blinding clouds.
So, by the way, while this goes on, we have people in chat bring up the topic of swarm hosts and otherwise to deal with mech. It's interesting because that is still a very stylistic thing. I don't think that is quite Korean, as funny as that is to say. We're so used to watching a lot of great European Zerg players just hard counter mech, easy peasy mode, but it's very different on the Korean server. Like, I know each region has like its own style of play, but it is like a straight up difference of opinion almost on the Korean server.
Rogue or Dark? Shoot. It might have been both of them, actually. I think they both have been
Rogue.
using... What?
I would just say Rogue for whatever you're going to say, because
okay.
it sounds like a good thing, and Rogue is amazing right now.
Yeah, I think it's both of them that are actually starting to use Swarm Host, though. I think Rogue was... Yeah, Rogue. It was Rogue. Using the GSL Super Tournament and was making it look quite good. So,
Ooh.
But you're right, like a lot of the other Zergs aren't really so keen on using them. Another Hellion run by gets another 16 drones.
Just throw out there, you block those, it's a lot hard to get those hits. Oh, Viper's in the middle of the map, caught. Does throw out a parasitic bomb, but kind of out of desperation. While this has been roasting up drones, Impact's had no problem replacing them, though. And while he goes in for the attack, that's a lot of tanks to point defense drones. He's throwing away a lot of Hydras to this tank line. I don't know about this zombie grub.
Yeah, wait, I mean, huh. I don't know about that either. Impact just committed a large army to do that. He has a bank, but it's not that large. He's also maybe going to lose a couple more drones.
He committed a felony, murdering all those Hydras.
So one Viper got picked off by the Vikings, is what I was trying to say. And then the other one wasn't even there. It was like still back. Why did he do that? I don't know. Because even if he had the Vipers, even if there were blinding clouds, which there wouldn't have been many of, with only 2 Vipers, those tanks were really nicely sieged up. They were aligned. They weren't crowded at all. And Impact, I think he just threw away the army, and the game is no longer his to take. Well, a couple of amazing blinding clouds, maybe.
This was like throwing the game levels of bad. I really thought Impact had this game on lockdown.
I did as well, but throwing that entire army into the depth of those tanks, these blinding clouds aren't so bad. There's a lot of them this time, but they don't last as long as they would, or they once did, and there just wasn't enough Hydras. GG.
Wow. I'll give it to KeeN. He kept his head down. He still played Mech out as strong as he could after that early bust. And frankly, I really don't think even he could have predicted Impact making such a blunder.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at the graphs right now. I don't know if you've closed the tab or not, but oh god, the army value graph is so bad.
I can show it. Yeah.
It's just, look at Impact. He's kicking ass so much that game that just like whoop all the way down. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's pretty dramatic. The next map is going to be, I wanted to say Interloper. I was entirely wrong. My bad. Interloper, very different. Acolyte is the map to go for 3 bases and even 4, which is what KeeN did. Actually, I don't know what Interloper is gonna mean. I imagine Impact's just like F mech right now, but that was a large. He has to recognize that was largely due to his own mistake, his own really, really big mistake.
Yeah, like it's pretty clear by that graph we just showed too. Even if you don't know the style of play, whether it was bio, whether it was mech, the fact is like Impact was doing well until Impact stopped doing well. Not that KeeN started kicking ass.
Yeah.
There's so much more to say about it, but we'll get into the intro as soon as the players are ready to go here. Quick reminder though, before we do, it is still a qualification series. Loser's not out. Loser simply falls down to the loser's bracket.
Exactly. All right, getting into Interloper. See you soon. It's game number 2 in the bottom right as the green Terran. He is KeeN.
Yeah, up 1 to his opponent, who is currently on his last life here in the winners bracket finals, the blue Zerg player Impact. Also, quick apologies, guys, because I put out a tweet kind of forgetting about that stream delay. So if anyone did get spoiled in the previous game, I do apologize, but it was after the point of the army falling off, so I don't think it should have been that much of a spoiler or that much of a surprise.
They see the tweet as they watch the Hydras run into the tanks. Perfect. Well, it was over in a bit of a flash. That simple but crucial mistake of just throwing your army away led into an instant counterattack, because it was such a dramatic win of the army supply that KeeN could go across a large map like Acolyte and still have enough and still not be overrun by Impact's attempted remax. He didn't even fully remax. So, but Interloper is a different map, very different. Smaller, no easy fourth base. Third's actually even a little bit questionable in some regards. A lot of other choices that both these guys can do. Bio for KeeN, or maybe more aggressive style for Impact. Thank you very much to Frankenfurter for the 21-month resub, which the sound did not play.
Yeah, I was having troubles with that yesterday too, and I wasn't quite sure what the deal with that was. That's why I still gotta look into getting the alerts fixed up. But yeah, and I hope you guys like the new ones. I think it look really pretty. I paid a guy a couple of bucks to get this cool looking alert system going.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you guys, of course, feeling real generous today, consider checking out, subscribing to the channel. You can still do it for half off. More to the point, it's also that reminder to check your Prime subs, see if anyone's is available. Every 30 days, it does refresh. You can sub. It's not automatic, so you do have to apply it manually. But every 30 days, you should be subscribing to somebody, even if it's not us. Just take advantage of the free subscription.
Yeah.
But hopefully you'll consider picking us.
Well, that is a lot of lings made just to deal with a couple old rocks.
I guess Interloper is a map we've seen quite a bit of cheese on. So this might be this wariness. But I don't think he's going to be too worried, because he actually saw it with the Overlord. I take that back. He saw the barracks at home.
Yeah, I mean, the 6 slings just feel excessive for unknown reasons, but he made them, and he'll use them when they have speed, I suppose. There are Hellions being made, as that, factory openers are more popular nowadays, and that should be unexpected from Impact. KeeN to go mech last game. Don't know about this one. He could still do an armory and like a Hellbat attack into bio, which might trip Impact up after last game. But Impact with the pretty quick Overlord speed should be seeing everything.
Yeah, I actually really like Overlord speed. I feel we haven't seen enough Zerg players get used to it. I guess it's just so beneficial. It's the difference of a supply block sometimes. It's granted a decent amount of gas investment early on, but I think totally worth it as we see your Impact gets to just actually sit above the starport with no fear.
The Viking is going to come out soon, and that has been pretty popular before Banshees, so Impact might just be willing to lose that Overlord. He's not microing it, that's for sure. A pretty early Roach Warren is on the way, and that is a little concerning. He obviously attempted to bust KeeN last game, and it worked enough, I thought, that it was in a good position. Obviously, he still lost the game, but that's
it got him ahead to the point where he wanted to be.
Yeah, that's the reason he lost is a different reason, but that was like a 1-1 timing. It had a bunch of Ravagers. It was off of 3, actually almost 4 bases. This one is pretty early, and while he might be a little concerned about like Hellbats, he could have actually scouted for it. That Overlord could have literally moved any direction and tried to see the entirety of the main base. So I'm thinking more of an aggressive push here, and he is making more than enough Roaches to deal with Hellbats. If you really wanted them as the defensive tool, 5 plus Queens is usually enough. And unfortunately, a little bit supply blocked. You'll have to choose to go either. I mean, I would assume right now, actually. Supply block at a time as any. Oh, but he's going to bring the Queens with this. This is a pretty effective counter, kind of, to Hellion Starport, I guess is what you want to call it. There's a factory and a starport. The actual production of units is not that high. Their barracks are going to be building by the time you do this, and the Queens will help take care of any problematic starport units like a Banshee or Liberator. And that's the one, the great thing that Roaches, that are great against Roaches. The Raven can't really help out. In fact, it uses its energy on an auto turret, and KeeN is going to be in a lot of trouble.
Oh, Ravagers, man. Just Ravagers, so tough to deal with.
Yeah. I do really like this attack against specifically what KeeN did. It's really hard to hold.
The Queens are so sick. The Band-Aid that was missing. Quick game 2 to make up for that loss in game 1.
Got him. I did mention that it, in fact, could play a more aggressive style, and seeing the same opener as a 1-1-1 might have triggered that response. The game number 3 is going to be on Mech Depot. We have... This also did not play any sound. Lone Wolf for the 100 bits. Hope they'd all loving the amount of content you're doing.
Darn it, I really wish I knew why the alerts were all messed up like that. But yeah, thank you, Lone Wolf. Of course, we're just kind of reminding people about all these other things. There is a deal going on with Twitch right now where you can get 500 bits for your first time ever for $3.50, which is crazy because normally it costs more than $5 to give $5 through bits. Now it costs even less. If you're willing to take advantage of it, guys, I know we'd appreciate it.
Yeah. As soon as KeeN says ready, we'll get into that map intro. Impact, don't confuse me.
Impact's just so good to go. I would love for one of these guys to type the other guy's name and then go.
Clever. All right, getting into Mech Depot. It is the ace match. In the bottom left, as the blue Zerg, it is Impact.
And his opponent at the top right, going to be the green Terran player, KeeN. And I think at this point for Impact, 2 games in a row, Ravagers worked. I think third one's got a call for if it's a not broken, don't fix it scenario.
It just might. I feel like recently, especially with casting Rogue, I've seen a trend of very aggressive attacks from Zerg players. Rogue being just weirdly aggressive and weirdly cheesy in some of his tournaments. Not so much in the actual GSL, but in the online tournaments for sure. That, okay, the first one, 1-1, up against a mech player. I don't actually see that often. Most people are just letting the mech players get to a certain point and then hoping that a Viper push kills them, not a Roach push. But he did it, and that's fine and good. The second one, love the idea. I love that push against 1-1-1 from the Terran player. Not as a Terran player, but as an observer. Third game, what if KeeN goes for more like a regular non-starport build? Like he goes for 3rd CC, or maybe he goes for 2-1-1. Can Impact actually continue doing Roach Ravager attacks? Or are these just, a result of what he's seen from KeeN? Opportunities that he saw that he took advantage of, or are they actually just plans he's had from the get-go? One or the other.
I don't know. It's for me, it doesn't feel reactive. Like, I guess actually taking this like one step further, right? We see KeeN play enough to know that when KeeN plays, he's kind of, I feel like most of the time made up his mind before the game starts. Okay, I'm playing mech, I'm playing this, or I'm gonna cheese. And Impact, who is supposed to be the Zerg player, who's supposed to be the guy you're talking about being like a reactive player, like, oh, he'll scout, he'll see what's going on. That's not how he's played this series. I feel like this whole series is like, I'm just going to Ravager bust and play off of like however that goes out, whether it's good or whether it's bad.
I don't know how much I can agree with that. I think the second game, well, the first game is kind of whatever. Like, it's Acolyte, I'm going to try and bust this guy because he's going to go over 3 bases is a fine enough reasoning, whether it's mech or bio. But the second game, I want to say for sure, he basically had it in his mind, hey, if he goes for a starport build again, I'm going to do this. And once he confirmed that it was a starport build again, he decided to do it. I think that was actually a decision based off of scouting in both games, like a combination of the two. But I'm kind of glad I brought up, the potential other builds KeeN can do. So, I mean, not that a 3rd CC helps against another Roach Ravager Queen bust. Like, that's not how that works. But it might be a little less tempting because you do get faster barracks production rather than spending time on that starport.
I don't know about this, though, because, okay, Impact's going for fast overlord speed. He's going to get scouting. And classically, in, like, the history of StarCraft 2, if a Zerg player sees that 3rd CC, they're going to go in on something. They're either going to play really, really overly greedy and usually greed the Terran player, or they'll just go and try and punish them for it. I don't know what Impact's feeling, but with the way the course of the series is going, I think punishing KeeN for this would be a great move.
There is that starport. He's going to be opening up with maybe Woodamine drop?
Oh, actually, those overlords were getting in position pretty quickly. He's taking the longest way to go in through the north side. He's still droning right now. We'll see how he's about to hit supply cap on his side. It's a little bit supply blocked, actually. I'm not sure what happened with impact there. Missing an overlord, I guess, but dips in close enough to not see the third CC, but see the regular opening. Oh, man.
Yeah, he does. I mean, that late of a starport, there's either a second barracks hidden somewhere and it's a very tricky build, or it's a third CC, which is a lot more likely. So he probably knows the third CC, but it looks like he is not going to be attacking. He is going for 2 evolution chambers. He's actually getting spore crawlers, which just like, I mean, I don't actually have much to say about that. I don't think you think it's banshees, although it could be banshees later on. I think just spore crawlers in the mineral lines are good. You can move them around if there are widow mines, and they will help complicate matters for Terran when they drop again later on in the game. So even rechecks to see that it is still a tech labless starport.
It's really good. He had that overlord there too. It did see the timing of the drop leave the base, so Impact, who had already sort of cut into his stopping drones and started making zerglings, is now making a lot more zerglings too to make sure that he has this situation taken care of. 3 queens to the north, zerglings roaming kind of between the 2 bases, one even going south to the watchtower.
Which is a Reaper has. It's mine. Back off. This actually should not do much. The spore crawlers in every base are like, they look so anti-banshee, but they're so helpful against any starport related play. Even a Raven has to be a little careful against spore crawlers in the mineral lines. So he's going to deal with this no problem. It is KeeN going into mech after this, which Impact will definitely want to scout, and since his overlord's still alive, I'm sure that he will be able to. But it was very important that, you know, if Impact had been aggressive, if he chose to do another bust on what he figured was going to be another, you know, production-less build, third CC into what KeeN has got doesn't give a lot of production. It's important that he saw that there was a tech lab. It's important that KeeN got like a tank and actually went into some decent units right off the bat as opposed to waiting. But Impact wasn't aggressive, and in fact still needs to transfer over into roaches, and that he's seen multiple factories. For KeeN's side of things, grabs an overlord actually. The medevac drop not only failed to do any damage, it also failed to get a lot of scouting. I don't know why he's pushing out with a single tank and only a handful of Hellions.
Because if it was at home, it would have died to the zerglings, obviously.
Well, none of the Hellions are here. This is a very ragtag group of units, and the problem with anything based off of one tank is you better have a damn good position to abuse, or it just looks stupid.
Yeah, Mech Depot doesn't present a lot of opportunities like Interloper or Abyssal Reef does, but there's still these rocks that he's sitting next to. I think he wants to just set up to create a safe zone with the tank. No, he's going to push past this and go towards the third. I don't like this. There's no real positional advantage here. And in fact, it does pick up the Hellions at least.
Yeah, he realizes this isn't going to work. He doesn't... There might have been an attempt to catch Impact droning, you know, Bay caught me droning, which, hey, you know, that happens. Occasionally you have a couple Zergs go for like 4 bases, 80 drones as soon as they see double factory. But their production usually isn't too far behind. I don't see a situation where that push does work. And then on top of that, Impact had perfect timing with the 20 Lings to kill 10 SCVs and a couple supply depots.
Dude, all of those Bay caught me blank, like, is usually some person faking a picture, taking it themselves, right? So the question here is, like, how does that work for Bay caught me droning? Impact's just sitting there holding the D button while taking a selfie.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that is a large roach force. He's going to have 2-1, 2 Carapace specifically. He's going to see a command center building that is just going to have to be canceled. I don't think there's really any way around it. No, I don't think there's any way around it. I thought KeeN was moving into position, but I don't think he realizes Impact is pushing right now.
Thors are not a bad unit to have, but not without more assistance to them. They're just going to get outnumbered and focused, and that surround from Impact is just tearing through everything here. Corrosive Biles land on the tanks. Thors go down, and yeah, this is just too much Zerg to handle. Army supplies looking wildly disproportionate. 20 SCVs die. That's just the start. He starts pushing into the natural. There are a couple of tanks, but that's where Corrosive Biles take him out. No problem.
Yeah, no problem. It's basically the summary of this game. Impact going for another Roach Ravager bust, similar to that one on Acolytes. But this time, there was no easy third base choke to abuse. KeeN was all types of spread out. He was trying to get to a fourth base, way too greedy on location, on a map that is a very open fourth base. He was asking to be punished, especially considering how the last 2 games went. It was definitely on KeeN that, he made the mistake for being so greedy.
I mean, unlike game 1, there's not going to be a huge tank line for Impact to throw the game away into. Having killed a grand total of 59 SCVs, 50 of which through the last 30 seconds of this game, I just don't think there's going to be economic recovery. Even if Impact were to back off and play no rush 20-minute tactics, like, there's just no way KeeN is going to get that army up.
No. Yeah, it will be a 2-1 victory for Impact, but maybe Impact's thinking it should have been a 2-0 victory. That first game was quite dramatic with how quickly it was lost for Impact, but he brings it back and then a series for 2-1 and will qualify for Ting Season 4. Now KeeN gets to go drop into the losers bracket, which he's already in the qualifying round basically, so he really shouldn't just be like, nope, I don't want to. KeeN was defeated by Creed. Who is Creed?
I was gonna say, I don't actually know. His name is messaged me again on the bracket, so all I know is we have 2 best of 3s remaining in the broadcast at this point, folks. I hope you've enjoyed the show so far. We will be, of course, heading out to some sponsored messages while we wait. This could be short, this could be long. Basically, we're gonna wait for the next series to be available to us.
Exactly, which should be the winner of Natural versus Nice versus Creed. So see you guys whenever that lobby is ready to go.